100 Mile High City there by Ocean Colour Scene, and a request there by Mr. Andrew Pollard himself.
Well, you asked, and yeah, Ocean Colour Scene's
ask
always a winner.
and you shall receive,
Yes.
my friend. You're listening to the Let's Talk Sports Show, and we're going to talk about Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich because it's quite a very entertaining game. It's actually a weekend filled with derbies. We had the Manchester derby, we had this Borussia Dortmund Bayern Munich derby, we had the Copa Libertadores between Boca Juniors and River
Nice
Plate.
pronunciation. I like that.
I do try very well. And that funny enough, that game was actually waterlogged because it was supposed to take place on a Saturday, but I think they had like a foot of water inside the stadium, something ridiculous like that. And that finished 2-2 in that one. So all entertaining games. And now we're going to talk about the one that happened in Germany between Dortmund and Munich. And Dortmund now undefeated after 11 games. Bayern Munich 7 points off the pace now at the top of the Bundesliga. Andrew, you said you watched the game itself, so why don't you give us a little bit of a breakdown as to what happened?
It was brilliant. It was slightly, obviously the way it played out was totally different, but in terms of the sides, it was slightly reminiscent of the Manchester derby in terms of you've got this young, energetic team who are on the rise, obviously nowhere near the level of Man City, but then it's always kind of good to see the old heads of Bayern Munich get shown up, really. Jerome Boateng, awful. Again, somehow he's a footballer. Lewandowski did well, in fairness. He got the 2 goals, put them 2 up. I suppose the story of the game. Bayern Munich went 2-0 up, Lewandowski got 2. Marco Reus got 2 to pull it back to 2-2, and then Paco Alcácer got the winner with about 50 minutes left. And that Bayern Munich team, they just look like they're that great team that's just on the wane. Mm-hmm. Frank Ribery played and looked all right. He was one of their better attacking threats, but he's like 35 now, and I think he's pretty much going to be retiring at the end of the season. Thomas Muller he got taken off. It was just that they don't look the same Bayern Munich team. They're not as before. They always had that kind of almost like an invincibleness to them when Pep was in charge. Even with Ancelotti in a bit, but yeah, Niko Kovac isn't. I don't know. I feel sorry for him. He's kind of essentially got the David Moyes side of the situation where it was as in he's taken on this great team, but it's like there's a lot needs doing to it. But Dortmund are just a brilliant. This season they've been brilliant to watch. I think it's like 4 times I've seen him now. And then Alcácer, who's coming from Barcelona, he's got 9 goals in only 4 starts, and then 4 off the bench as well. You've just got Berkel's stepped up the last season or 2. They brought in Mohamed Dahoud, they got Pulisic. Axel Witsel played an absolutely amazing ball for Alcácer's winner. As I'm demonstrating with my finger on the desk now, which is
and
awful.
You can see on YouTube the demonstration.
From the right, slip through.
This is Andy's audition for Monday Night Football.
It is.
How would he use the touch screen?
Give me a touch screen. I think Axel
Be
Witsel.
Gary, I'll be Jamie.
I'm not arguing that one. And obviously Jadon Sancho, Marco Reus getting back to his best after all his injuries over the last couple of seasons. It's just a refreshing team to watch. It's entertaining. It's free flowing football. There's no fear about any of these players. And it's good to see. One, it's good to see Bayern just not dominating the league as they have done for so many years now. Similar to how Juventus do it in Italy and Serie A, and how Paris Saint-Germain have been doing it, apart from Monaco for that 1 year. So it's always refreshing to see them falter a little bit, but even more so to see Borussia Dortmund looking like the real deal again, and with so many young, talented players that are only going to get better. It's good. It's refreshing. It's good to see.
They got a strong team there, and after years where they would sell their players to Bayern Munich or to other teams around the world, it looks like as though they've managed to develop a young core to replace them, and now those core are really coming in strong, and it's showing them too in the league form as well. I did see actually a meme that I want to bring up to you about Frank Ribery. Apparently he's got a 7
he has
into his hair, and someone said, "Oh, Frank Ribery celebrating the amount of points that Bayern Munich behind in the Bundesliga with 7." So there's that front there. Joe, we remember the days of Borussia Dortmund, especially under Klopp, where they were a powerhouse going to the Champions League final and things like that. And now, is it Thomas Tuchel?
Yeah. It is because Tuchel went to Paris Saint-Germain.
Oh, did he?
And then they had 2 managers last year. 3 managers last year. Oh.
I can't think of his name.
While we find that out, Joe, is this the resurgence then of the Dortmund that we used to know with these players, coming in, like Pulisic and Sancho, and just really resurging the side up to the better quality that it was in yesteryear.
Biased opinion, but I hope so. As a person who likes Dortmund myself, I think it's brilliant to see him back, because obviously they've been in the football wilderness since Jurgen Klopp left. I know his last season they seemed to just drop off a little bit, but obviously Tuchel didn't do that bad with them. He had a run in the Europa League, obviously being knocked out by Liverpool, surprise. And then obviously they didn't do too bad in the Champions League when he was in charge of them in the Champions League. But he didn't really excel that well in the league. They didn't really push Bayern Munich hard, and Bayern Munich just stole the titles the last couple of years. I think it'd be nice to see this Dortmund side come back and have a competitive Bundesliga again, like they did from 2010, was it, all the way to 2014, where they were competing with Bayern Munich, because they won it in 2011, the first time Dortmund did under Klopp, and then it was 2012 again, and then obviously Bayern Munich won the next couple, but Dortmund were competing for trophies at the same time, so it was one of those things, balanced it out. I think it'd be nice to see a competitive Dortmund, because the Bundesliga was a little bit stale the last couple of years, with Bayern Munich winning everything in the path, apart from the was it DVB?
The cup last season.
Basically their FA Cup or something like that.
Yeah. So it'd be good to see this Dortmund side. They built, like you said, they built a solid squad, and when they won the title, they started with youngsters when they won it the first time, and the youngsters grew, and obviously Bayern Munich pinched Lewandowski and
Götze.
Götze, that's the one.
And Hummels.
Hummels. So obviously they pinched those three players, but now they've actually finally replaced those players, and it's good to see Dortmund having that solid spine again. And they built it. And Paco Alcacer, people were unsure about him, how he was going to do in the Bundesliga. I thought, well, at Valencia, he was a quality player, scored goals, didn't get really much of a chance at Barcelona. Obviously, you're not really going to when you've got Messi and Suarez in front of you, so you're not really going to get much chance. He's come to Dortmund to prove a point, and he's proving his point at the moment. I know you said, what was it, 9 goals in?
Yeah, 9 goals in 4 starts, 8 appearances in all.
That's a fantastic goal return tally. So it's fantastic to see that they've finally got someone to replace Lewandowski properly, because they tried with, I forgot his name now, Immobile.
Yeah.
But obviously that didn't work. He's obviously, I don't know why it didn't work, whether it was a tactical thing or whether he just doesn't suit the Bundesliga, but it didn't really work. And they've now got Alcacer, they've got that number 9, that pivotal point where they can put the ball into the box and obviously play balls in behind. They still would have been interesting to see if Lewandowski stayed there, how they would have dealt with how they would have done in those years. But obviously they've got Royce, the experienced head, and hopefully he's over his injury problems now. Mahmoud Dahoud,
it's easy for you to say.
Yeah. I thought Axel Witsel was a good signing, actually, to be honest. From China, people raised a few eyebrows over that one, but I thought he's an experienced player. He can play DM as well. He knows what he's doing. He plays the balls, and like you say, that ball for Paco Alcacer, unbelievable.
I remember when he was at Zenit St. Petersburg, and a lot of Premier League teams look at him, and then suddenly he moves to China because of the money. I was like, what are you doing? You're in the prime of your career and you jump into China. So I don't get the decision these days.
Yeah, the Oscar move, as they call it.
But the Dortmund manager, in case you were wondering in our quiz, the answer that we didn't know, the question we didn't know the answer to is Lucien Favre, no relation to Brett Favre, the famous NFL quarterback at all. And he's, according to Wikipedia, which is a very reliable source and can't be changed by anyone at all, he's a smart tactician and a perfectionist at heart. And he's also been responsible for the coaching development of people like Marcus Royce earlier on in his career, Marc-Andre ter Stegen, the goalkeeper, and as well as Granit Xhaka, who's of course at Arsenal right now. But then again, there's a lot of people and a lot of players in this Dortmund team from the past. People like Gundogan, who scored, of course, in the Manchester derby, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Jamie, try to pronounce that one for us, mate, when you're listening on the Raiders list.
I like the fact that it's almost as if Bayern Munich have shot themselves in the foot by forcing Dortmund into this hole where they've got to play kids, or they've got to go and look outside of Germany.
So let's move on to Munich then before we wrap up the end of the show. What has gone wrong for them this season then, do you think?
I just think that because they've been busy, are too busy buying the older established heads off the teams around them, such as Lewandowski, such as Mats Hummels, that they've allowed the other teams in the Bundesliga they've been picking up the younger players or bringing players from abroad necessarily. I don't think there's a draw for Bayern Munich as well. As in, if you're a top player playing in Spain or the Premier League, it's one thing to be like, you go over there expecting that you're gonna win the Bundesliga, you're gonna get a trophy, but there's also that it's stale, it's boring. You're going to go there and you're going to, until this season, it's going to be a one-horse race. You might as well go and play Scotland. Although that's more exciting this season than it has been the last few years in the Bundesliga. I don't think they've got the draw that they were. And there's a core team of players there that are always going to play. So going there that you're going to probably be behind one of them. You're going to be behind Lewandowski. You're going to be behind Boateng and Hummels or Javi Martinez. It's a hard team to get into. So I think there's not that much of an appeal to go there. I just think they've allowed themselves to get stale. They've got complacent with winning the Bundesliga the last few seasons. And because of their dominance and their signing, especially with Dortmund, signing Dortmund's best players, their senior pros. And credit to Marco Reus for being the one who's stuck there at the captain. And that's like Joe said, it's great to see him back over all his injuries and playing well. Almost like sticking two fingers up to Bayern Munich and being like, yeah. Especially when you had Mats Hummels, who was the captain before, who happily took a big load of money to go to Bayern. So I just think they've shot themselves in the foot, really. That's what's gone wrong. They've got complacent. The other teams have progressed a little bit like Man United from a few years ago. United didn't really do much, and the City pushed on, Liverpool pushed on, Tottenham pushed on, Chelsea, Arsenal even this season. It's just complacency, I think. Yeah,
definitely. So quick answers before we show our respects to the other sports before we're wrapping up the show on our Let's Talk Sports show,
Our respects by giving them 30 seconds at the end.
30-second jabs at the end. Do we think Dortmund can translate this form from the Bundesliga into the Champions League and go far in the Champions League this season?
Yes, I think they can get to the quarterfinals.
Yeah? Okay, that's a good shout, I think. What do you think, Andy?
I'd agree with that. Depending on just look at the draw, I guess. Literally the old cliche. But I think they've got enough there to have a good run, and they'll be entertaining to watch. A little bit like Ajax in that regard, I think. But there's just not quite that top quality to challenge the likes of Liverpool, of a Man City, of a Real Madrid, of Barcelona.